Hello, and welcome to the Late Challenge podcast with him, Gareth Roberts, and me, Paul Cope, as always. But this is a special episode because we're not really here, are we?
No, we're breaking the fourth wall.
Breaking the fourth wall. If with any luck, as you're watching or listening to this, I'll be sitting by a pool somewhere in my bills.
Not even booked it?
Not booked it yet, no.
Okay, now, lad, I thought it was all well sorted.
No. This is typical of me.
Yeah.
No, but every time we
go in the airport, just going wherever.
I would think, have you ever done that?
No.
It's on my list to do, I want to do it. But I've got one of my favourite comedians, Nate Bargatze. If you've never checked him out, check him out on Netflix. Have you seen him?
No.
He's boss. Like, I just stumbled across him ages ago and he's really good. He's got 3 specials now, got one on Prime. And he tells a story about going to the airport. You're like, not to be cool, like, because that's, I want to do it like Joel End Adventure, like in the olden days, like take your passport, take your card and just go. But he's stuck and he goes up to the counter and says like, can I buy a ticket to such a place? And the girl basically goes to him, yeah, just go home and do it online like every normal fucker does. Because people don't do that anymore.
No,
do you mean? You don't go to the airport to buy tickets. But anyway, I want to do that. But yeah, so hopefully I'm going to be on holiday. But we wanted to make sure that you always have a show, didn't we? We were never want to let you down. So we're going to make sure that no matter what's going on, obviously we want to have holidays sometimes. I'm in desperate need of holiday. I've been away for about 18 months. And we might be sick or something, mightn't we? Like the other week when we had Robbo was on death's door and I was having frog poison. We were thinking that was touch and go, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think what we've done well though is like we've basically established a podcast where we're just talking shite.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
No time barriers.
We can talk shite at any point and just put it out, and it'll work. We hope.
Yeah. Well, we'll soon find out.
I mean, I guess the only bad thing is if like something unbelievable happens in footy and they're like, "Wow, come you haven't talked about that?" We're not here.
Yeah, literally that. We're not here. So. This is actually going out after the Liverpool Man City game, isn't it? So,
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah,
maybe we'll end up doing an emergency one from poolside.
I'm not even going to say anything about it. I can just say it getting clipped where I've made some mad prediction or something. Do you know what I mean?
Let's not even go down there. So let's get stuck in, because as always, we're already up against that. Do you want to let's launch in with your fact? I want to get straight into.
You
on
the fact this early? Okay, go on.
Or I tell you what, tell us your story. About your Hoover?
About the Hoover, yeah. Just that I absolutely shit myself. Not literally. My bills were fine, but I was doing the Hoovering, and then it was just like this. It was a little bit of a smell, like a burny smell, and I just thought, like sometimes when you Hoover something and like you like might linger on a spot too long, or something might get stuck in it, and it can sort of like put too much pressure on the motor, and you get a little burny smell off that. I thought, oh, maybe it's just that. And what I didn't get onto, because it was like the wire was right out, and so I was like one end, I was well away from where the plug was. The plug was fucking on fire, like
actually on fire.
Yeah, there was like so there was a bang, all the lecky went off, and then I went back to where the plug was. There's like just a little flame, loads of smoke. And yeah, it's sort of one of them like molded plugs where it's all sealed in and everything. But it, like the flame had sort of like burst out of that coating, but luckily not gone any bigger. Like I didn't have to do any firefighting. Like it was sound.
It just went out.
So I'm hoping that I, can just stick another plug on it and it's all right. But yeah, it was a little bit scary. It was one of them moments where it was just like...
Were you frightened?
It was just like, I don't know what you do here. Because like, I was like, do we go and like, wet a dishcloth or something and all this kind of stuff, do you know what I mean? And like, but luckily it just boxed itself. But it was still mad, like the whole room was full of smoke. And also I was thinking, do I have to buy a new Hoover now? What a boring purchase that'd be. I've got to do that, you know what I mean?
Well,
blew up on you?
When you mentioned it, I was thinking, I electrocuted myself once.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
How'd you manage
like
that?
This, I can try my hand at lots of different things. So like, I'm about to ask you about changing the plug. I think I can't. Yeah, it's basically a lot. It's probably dangerous half the time. But I'd taken off. It was when I was living in London. I'd taken off plug sockets to decorate. I do it properly, like take off all the sockets and all that, and paint behind, and then put them back on and everything. But I'd unwired the plug socket to like do something. But
the lecky was still on?
Yeah. I fucking blew myself across the room.
Shit.
Yeah.
Did you have like proper like Doc Brown hair and all that? Like on
I think I've got the theory that there's like superhero shit that goes in. Do you know what I mean? I think you'd be
I
all
wouldn't
right,
test.
lads.
I wouldn't test that theory too much, you know, mate.
I reckon
As
I've
we've
got-
said before, I don't think I can do this podcast on my own.
yeah.
Where's Kobe this week? He was just testing that theory that he can withstand
Absorb
lecky shocks.
electricity. Yeah. How did it turn out? Turns out he can't.
Yeah, turns out he can't.
Turns
So
out
it's just
he's
me
not a
this week.
superhero. And the frog poison was just the first part. Yeah, but so here's a middle-aged question for you. Will you be able to change the plug yourself?
I reckon I could, just because, like, you know, it's all there now, isn't it, on YouTube and everything? Like,
Of
you know,
course,
you know,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
all
yeah.
there available for you. But what I've got now, which is Boss, so, you know, shout out for him. So Debbie's dad is dead Andy, basically. And like, I was actually talking to him the other day, and like, you know, he used to be like a drayman, and like was telling me about all these mad accidents he had when he was doing that job. Like one time, literally fell down the shaft. Yeah,
Did he?
The best is though,
They're fucking dangerous.
I know,
then, though,
fell
aren't they?
down
They're
one
not
of
a great
them.
design.
Landed on his feet, literally. You know, which is mad in itself because it was a big drop. But he said that, you know, like the mate who was down there moving everything around just went to him, "Oh, I said I didn't need an hand." Not like, "Are you all right?"
But imagine what was going through his head then.
Yeah,
He's just
he
like
got
dropped
down
like
here.
Superman. Just fucking landed on his feet. Gone all right, lad. And he's got an arm sound. Honestly, it's fine.
Unbelievable,
Not
isn't it?
about fucking.
But he's boss at like fixing things, and you know, just a dead and the old school man, basically. Unlike this pen pushing version that you've got in 2023, i.e. me. So I've already floated the idea that he boxes it for me, you know, because I'd just be worried that I'd done something
done it
wrong. Because you're gonna have to strip the cable and all that, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because it's a molded plug.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I reckon I could do it. I reckon I could work it out. But I'd trust him to be doing it more than I would, so I'm just gonna go with that, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's fair enough. It's an interesting one though, isn't it? Like, because I can do all stuff like that. My dad taught me all stuff like that growing up. Yeah, so I mean, my sister's funny because she tells stories and like she can do it as well, which is interesting, isn't it? Like, and so in her house, she's the one who does all that stuff. But it is funny as well because it does lead you down. My dad just taught me like the basics, and then because the way my brain works, it's a bit weird in ways. I can't stop at that. Do you know what I mean? So I'll go on to go, well, if you can do a plug, you can fucking rewire a fucking kitchen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And those two things don't
They're not the
necessarily go
same.
together.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
absolutely
So
not.
you do need to be careful with this shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's boss that. Do you want to do your fact?
Oh,
You
yeah,
ready?
the facts, yeah. So in Liverpool, there are obviously various tall buildings and structures and stuff. And, you know, some of them are even on the Lake Challenge logo there.
Yeah.
So I just wondered if you knew that St. John's Beacon, also known as the Radio City Tower, as well as being the second tallest freestanding building in Liverpool and the 32nd tallest in the UK, it is in fact just a chimney.
Is it?
Yeah. It's mad that, isn't it?
Yeah. For what?
For St. John's Centre, basically.
Is it? Is that what it is?
Yeah, and then they just put the round bit on and went, "Oh, that'll do. That'll be a restaurant then." And then obviously, like, the restaurant failed. I was reading as well, and there was some mad, like, apparently they turned it into this, like, sort of space-themed Buck Rogers style restaurant at one point. And that,
Do you remember that?
no, and it sounded shit, and I'm not surprised it failed.
I mean, I was about to say to you, like, it's mad that the restaurant failed because I remember the restaurant, but it's mad that failed. I reckon if they,
I think that'd be quite
I
cool,
think if they
like.
did a restaurant now, it'd be successful.
Yeah.
But it's mad.
It was
doesn't-
revolving, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
but it,
really slowly went round, so you got, like, views of the city.
which would be sound, wouldn't
Yeah.
it? But it doesn't surprise me that the Buck Rogers themed one didn't work.
sounds
That ties
shit.
into what we're going to talk about, actually.
Fuck off, Buck.
The thing around the table where it's like, during the board
Yeah.
meeting where you've had an idea and someone's gone, and no one's gone. Buck Rogers, are you sure?
I know. Well, there's an Echo report from the 70s. The headline makes me laugh. You know, like how you have like themes and everything, and things change and everything. How papers are made, styles of headlines, whatever. The headline is, "Thank you, but the beacon is not on fire." Yeah, boss headline.
That's brilliant.
And then it goes, Liverpool Fire Brigade have been receiving calls from members of the public telling them that St. John's Beacon is on fire. People seeing smoke from the top of the beacon have rung in to warn the brigade. The fire brigade point out, however, that the beacon is in fact a chimney from St. John's Market and that the smoke is from the heating system.
That's mental. So is it still the chimney now?
I don't know.
Because you don't.
I couldn't find that
I've
bit
never
out.
seen smoke.
But it
come
was
out of
built
you.
as being the chimney. So
That's brilliant. That one.
Yeah, there you go.
Where are you fucking getting these from? You said something in that though. What? It's the second tallest freestanding in the city.
Yeah.
What's the tallest?
The Beetham West Tower, which is really boring, isn't it? You know, one of them ones they built for flats.
The apartments.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's boring, that, isn't it?
shite that, yeah.
I know.
It's not
I mean, I
nowhere
knew
near
you'd
as good
ask me it, so I had it there
Yeah,
ready.
I'm glad you did. Yeah. Yeah, fucking hell. I like that one though. That's
Thanks,
good.
mate.
That.
Cheers.
Yeah. And a nice segue into, because we want to, like, as we like to do, and we've said over the past few weeks, we have loads of this stuff that we feel bad that we can't share everything you send in. So now we've got a week where we can catch up with a few things, and I wanted to talk about some things where it's like goes back to something we said a few weeks ago about the idea of people sitting around the table and having a meeting about something and thinking it's a good idea. So it ties in nicely to the Buck Rogers thing, and because Ant Chamberlain sent us in, I think he tweeted us saying someone sat in a meeting and thought this was a good idea, and it's from Tesco, goldfish-shaped ham.
Yeah, fuck
You having that?
No. Like I would just wouldn't buy it on principle. It's like, hang on,
Why?
ham's not from a fish.
Yeah.
So just on that principle, I'm out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm massively with you on that. Like, the thing about that is, like, I mean, you can't see this if you're listening on our podcast, but it's literally like a fish. They've made it like a fish, but I don't understand what's even the thinking behind it. As what, like, do you think the people who've made it had a kid who would eat fish but not ham, and they were like, make it look like a fish and he'll eat it? I mean, I don't get it.
Has someone not just made that? Is it actually real? It just seems so shit that it's like...
I mean, we'll probably find out now. It is just blag.
There's a Reddit thread about it that I found straight away. Oh no, it appears to be... There's plenty of pictures of it.
Well, it says on the thing
Finest.
made from tender... It's Tesco Finest range as well. Made from tender pork.
It's fucking weird. Like, it's... Yeah, it does look real, and like there's plenty about it on the internet. It is the classic of someone's just throwing it in, and someone's going, "Oh yeah, let's do that."
Yeah.
Why? Can someone explain why?
Yeah, I don't get it. But then it led me down a little path of like having a look at other stuff, and I found this article. Right, and the thing about this article made me laugh. I'll mention a few things that this article said they're selling on Amazon that you can actually buy, but I realised halfway through the article it was written for an American publication, right? Because like it was talking about things like, this article was talking about things like you can buy smoked rattlesnake, zebra tarantula. You can literally get a zebra tarantula dried that you can buy and eat. And then you can get a bag of mixed bugs. But halfway through this article of Joe, like 10 mad things you can buy, food you can buy online. And this ties in nicely to our show as well. This lady who'd written it included Walker's prawn cocktail crisps.
What's wrong with them?
That's what she's like. I'm watching it. How are you fucking
like
putting prawn cocktail crisps in the same category as smoked rattlesnake and zebra tarantula? And she says in it, we all know Lay's, who was Walker's, love their crazy potato chip flavors, but this brand is taking it a bit far. And she's explaining, as we often do for overseas listeners, she says a prawn is actually a shrimp. So these chips are shrimp cocktail flavour. And it just made me laugh that something that to us
Is that normal?
at this end of this conversation, we're like, what's wrong with prawn
Well,
cocktail
we're getting
crisps?
sent things all the time now like this. So people like, have now rightly so associated us with crisps. And we've had some sent over the last week or so where there was someone sent us mayonnaise flavour crisps that you can get.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And another one was egg, which I just thought was fucking grim.
Egg crisp, but they're Spanish, aren't they, I think?
Egg crisps.
Yeah.
Like, I'm dead funny about egg, me. Like, I love scrambled egg. I'm not overly keen on fried. Don't mind, the fella with the soldiers and all that. That's
Fella with the soldiers. What don't you like?
Cold boiled egg
Boiled
literally
egg?
makes
No.
me spew. Like,
Really?
Yeah, it makes me, but I can't do it. Like when you get it on like a salad and things
Yeah.
like that. Oh no.
Why?
Fuck that right off.
No.
Can't do it.
I love the way you're dead against it.
Honestly, I don't know. Like I've just got on this. It smells different. I think.
I mean, that is true.
For the start off, and like
which is
egg mayonnaise.
Don't you like egg mayonnaise?
No.
I love.
Honestly,
I love egg in
literally
all
making
its
me
forms.
feel a bit.
I can see it in you.
You know. No.
How much would it cost to get you to
There's
eat
some
egg
of them
mayonnaise?
egg crisps there. Torres.
Yeah.
Fernando
Torres crisps,
after he jibbed Liverpool went and made some crisps. Fried egg flavour. They're not for me, them.
Well, I told you what a lad I know.
You haven't brought them in this week.
No, imagine that. Imagine. You're already fucking 2 foot me before I start. Someone sent me, and he said for it, if you ever do international stuff, he sent me, and the Walkers Lays, but from India. And they were like masala flavour.
See, they sound good though.
You like the idea of them?
Yeah, I'm into them.
Well, he sent me 2 packs, so
I'd have a go with them. I reckon I can see curry crisps working. Do you know what I mean?
Well, maybe someone else has suggested that, haven't they? That we should actually taste them on the show, like taste new ones on the show. Like, is that going to be another income stream for
Walkers
us?
do mad ones every now and again, don't they? They'll like they get the experts to make the flavours, don't they? And then they'll trial like a load of mad flavours to see if they stick, I think.
Yeah, well, do you know what I was...
Barbecue. Yeah, they're still going. Barbecue crisps.
Walker barbecue. Walker's ones. Are you talking about specifically? I thought you meant barbecue generally. I was like,
fucking hell. Defo get them.
we can make Jacob's Day.
I remember them.
Fucking the Tesco round the corner's got barbecue crisps.
I remember Walker's barbecue in the blackish pack. Yeah,
Do you?
I remember them. They were sound.
I don't remember them.
There's a few, isn't there, that have gone by the wayside on the sly.
Well, a few people have messaged us about them because I've mentioned that a few times. I never understand how. Yeah, but it's. I always think it's mad that, isn't it? Because when you see the things that keep going, and I always think, well, how was enough people buying them to keep them going? Yeah. But then they've binned off things like Brannigan's, and you'd think barbecue Walkers would be popular. But the thing I was going to say to you is, when they've got all these experts creating the flavours, that's another one where, I like the flavour of prawn cocktail crisps, and I like the flavour of smoky bacon crisps and roast chicken crisps. But if someone went to me without telling me what flavour they are, try one of them and tell me what it's meant to be, there's no way I'd be going, that tastes just like a prawn cocktail.
No, you're right.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
I like prawn cocktail crisps, and they don't really
It's like nothing like a prawn cocktail.
Yeah. So maybe that's where she's gone wrong there. She hasn't had a go with them, has she, when she wrote that article? So she's looked at it and gone,
that wouldn't
really
work.
Like fishy, like, no, that's not going to work as a crisp. But it does, because it's fuck all like an actual prawn cocktail.
Yeah. but even that's funny. Imagine that team of experts, and they're sitting around, they've gone, right, make us some flavours, and they've gone, prawn cocktail, and they've gone, well, this tastes not unlike prawn cocktail, but we'll still sell them, and they're dead popular.
Well, don't you think it's for, like, there's loads of stuff like that. Like, it's funny about, like, I'm dead funny about me tea, as anyone who's listened to me over the years on various things banged on it forever about Barry's tea. I'll accept Yorkshire tea. Twining's English breakfast is decent as well, by the way. But then you get all these other ones. Like, I remember putting on Twitter, and it was a bit, in hindsight, it was a bit harsh. So I just seen in the supermarket one day, and I hadn't seen them before, Lancashire tea. And I thought, I'm glad I'll have a go, like. And they were fucking horrible. So I put on Twitter, Lancashire tea tastes like piss. And obviously whoever's running their social media replied, thanks for that. And I was like,
which, I mean, completely goes against my thing of like, why does anyone care what you think about Lancashire tea? But actually Lancashire tea give a shit.
And also amplified my comment by replying. But then, I've thought about this before. So like all of the, like Barry's tea, for instance, is made in Cork and the factories there and all the rest of it. But, like tea doesn't grow in Ireland, does it? You know what I mean? Or Lancashire or Yorkshire. And yet, we're all dead like pulled in by these brands, aren't we? Like, like you think about Yorkshire Tea's advertising, like, Sean Bean and all things like that. Yeah. Like, and, like this real pride that it's like, tea.
Yeah, it's not.
Like, lad, it's from Sri Lanka.
It's the same shit, yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I knew someone once who worked in a bean factory, which is a mad thing, like drew baked beans. And he was like, I know you're all obsessed with what is what. You're like, which is better?
Yeah.
It's all the fucking, he was like, it's all the same. We just put the same shit in different tins and sell it at different prices.
That show's good for that, isn't it? I quite like watching that show. I can't remember what it's called now, but you'll know what I mean once to explain. It's so they'll go in, and like it's a family who are spending like loads of dough on the scram, and it's like they're going to save you like loads.
What's his
on
name?
Your shopping
Greg?
bill.
Is it Greg thingy?
I think he does.
He does the cooking show.
I think he does do it.
But
yeah.
There's a comedian who does a piss takeout with, isn't there? It's like that funny because he's just like, He's like, I can save you thousands. It's like, what should I do, Greg? It's like, just buy the own brand stuff.
Yeah.
Like, did we need a TV show for this, Greg?
I know, but it's all like, you know, like they try and, you know, sneak the non-branded stuff in,
And
don't
see if
they?
they notice.
And I think some of it, you know, there's probably something behind it. Like, I think certain things, yeah, okay, but I think other things, no. Like, I mean, like, have you ever had Blag Crunchy Nut Cornflakes?
Yeah.
Shite.
Yeah.
None of them are good.
They're awful.
Yeah.
But they're awful.
They're,
Like,
they're not even close. Like,
Yeah.
there's something Kellogg's are doing where they're smashing it.
But you know what I
And
don't
there's-
get?
in the Blag factory, they don't know what the secret is.
But what I don't get about that is, like, unless there is a secret that they're not saying. You know the way Coke's got a secret recipe and KFC's got a secret recipe that's literally secret, and like read stories about like they're not even stored on a computer, so you can't hack them. They're proper old school. Like, it's written on a piece of paper in someone's safe somewhere. And I don't know whether that's true, but I just like the story anyway. But as far as I know, there isn't a secret recipe for Crunchy Nut Cornflakes. It's literally on the box. So I don't understand
Why they
how the
can't-
Blag ones can't
why
copy
can't
it.
they
do you
get
know
it
what I
right?
mean?
Because if you think, like, say Weetabix, I think the Blag Weetabix is all right.
They're basically the same, yeah.
I
My
can't-
girlfriend
I
gets
can't-
them for the kids.
I
They're,
can't
they're
just
just the
notice
same.
a discernible difference there. Like, but
Yeah.
I don't know about the beans though. I'm not sure about
No,
the
I
bean
think
shout.
well, even as I say the bean story, the person who told me was not necessarily reliable.
Heinz and
because I think
Branston are
Heinz
good.
are better than shitty ones you get,
Branston are
aren't
good.
they?
But there's ones I think in Aldi, and it's like, I think like coral or something, and
yeah,
they're fucking
just
shit. I'm not
Yeah.
having them.
But I don't know what the difference is. Like, what
It's just the actual sauce, isn't it? I think.
is it?
Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
Are
I
the
think
beans
so.
just the same? It's just haricot beans, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I've made myself some like healthy versions.
I've done healthy beans that
Yeah,
I made
they're not
myself.
the same.
You know, there's I wish I can remember the name of the cafe now, because it's boss as well, and I'm gutted that I can't give it a shout out because of my crap memory. Anyway, there's a vegetarian cafe in Liverpool, and they do like their own baked beans on toast, but it's like not unlike what you get out the can, and it's unbelievable. And Sam from the Amphiur app knows the girl who is it Lovelocks? Is that what it's called?
I've heard of that.
I think it is them. So go in there, the food Sam. That's why I wanted to give them a little shout. But they do yeah, it is Lovelocks. Old Haymarket, Liverpool, L16ER.
Full address.
It's where
thanks.
we went. It's where we went
Oh,
the other
yeah.
week when we
I
had
love
that meeting.
I've heard of that.
Yeah,
It's
you've
like, yeah, I've
been.
literally been there 3 weeks ago with you.
So they do this boss baked beans, but it's like you know, their own recipe, and the big chunky fella beans.
Yeah.
And I was so into it, like I was like, Sam, get us the recipe there. And I had to buy all this mad stuff, like this smoky sauce thing that you put a few drops in and all kinds of stuff. But when I did it, I was like, that's boss that.
Were they nice?
But yeah, nice. But like, I showed them, I was like, to the kids, like, I'll make you that. And they were like, fucking eating that, look at
Yeah.
it. And
But
I'm
you know
like,
what's funny? This goes back to the like stuff we're used to that we think is sound and other people think is weird. One of my best mates married a girl from Argentina, and like he gave her first full English breakfast. Like, this is our thing. And she sat and she was eating it. And when she got to the beans, she put a fork full of beans in her mouth and went to him, oh my God, like she wanted to spit them out. She was like, that's disgusting. And he went, why? And she went, why is there sugar in it? Why is there just on this plate of savoury food, just one dead sugary dish? And when he told me that story, I was like, what are you talking about? Because we've become so accustomed to
in
eating
everything.
it.
Yeah.
We don't even know it's there. I don't even think of beans as being sweet on that plate, do you?
I know.
Whereas as soon as she put it in her mouth, she was like, they're sweet, they've got loads of sugar in. And he said the same, like, what the fuck are you talking about? But that's mad, isn't it?
Well,
Imagine if you were creating that for the first time and I went to you and we'll put some jam in there.
Well,
You'd be like,
the kids learn about that, you know. I don't think we did. I think we were just given any old shite when we were growing up.
Yeah.
Because my kids, when I went into their school once, they had this thing on the wall, and it was like all like, you know, like, what are them milkshakes called? Fridge or whatever. Is that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, them fellas.
That's right,
So it had like the likes of them on, like, stuck to the wall, and then a bag next to it showing you how much actual sugar was in that.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it like sort of really hit home what you're putting into yourself. And that, but for like loads of different foods, like this display. And I thought, oh, that's clever, that, because like I'm still programmed from my generation. I don't even think about it. Like, I see people sometimes on like Twitter or whatever and saying, oh, I'm doing this diet where I've completely cut sugar out. How? Do you know
It's
what I
in
mean?
everything.
Like, it's
Yeah.
in, it's in
It is.
everything. So like, and like, we're basically all addicted to it, aren't we?
Yeah.
Do you know
like
what I
crack,
mean?
isn't it? Have you ever seen that?
So
It's meant to be hard. It's meant to be as hard to give up as crack.
really, yeah.
Yeah. It's that
Or like,
addictive.
so you'd have like pure withdrawal
Proper.
symptoms.
One of my
and all
mates
that.
did it, but he did it with he didn't just cut out refined sugar.
Was he seeing like
he's
babies
extreme.
crawling on the ceiling and all that
mate,
kind of
he said
stuff?
he was fucking having shakes and everything because
Shit.
he didn't just take out refined sugar. He took out. And I went to him, well, you didn't need to go that fucking far, did you? He stopped eating fruit and all that, so no natural sugar either. He said his body started like convulsing.
Wow.
That's wild,
It's
that
mad,
isn't it?
isn't it? Yeah.
Because it's so fucking reliant on it.
Mad.
So I might do that in a few. I'm thinking of like trying to knock sugar on the head. But
Really?
yeah, I've
How's-
tried it in the past.
How's
Like,
the no ale going?
no ale's easier. I
Do you reckon?
Yeah. Do you know once? It took a while to get there. Like literally years of like to and fro. And do you know what I mean? Like I'd have 3 months off it, and then I'd want to go back on it and go out with my mates and all that. But then every time it's because when you become more conscious of it, right? Every time you drink it, and then you just like conscious of what it's doing to you, not just like the bit you want from it, the nice bit, all the shit bits. And then it got to a point where I realized it wasn't even giving me the good bit that I wanted. Do you know what I mean? I was already, because I'd got to a point where, so for example, like it used to give me a confidence boost and all that. So I'd sing karaoke and all that. And when I started like doing all this mad work and like going abroad and all that, and you know, eating frog spunk and everything, I'll get up and sing karaoke without being bevied now.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So then I was like, well, I don't need a bevy for that. And I don't need a bevy to sit round in the pub with my mates chatting. I don't need a bevy to sit with my family and chat. So then it was like, well, I'm only having a bevy to get bladdered. And if I get bladdered, then I'm dealing with the consequences of getting bladdered. One of which is like, you know, a 4-day hangover, because it would be awful the second day. But I'd be realising, because when you've stopped for a while and you feel what your system's like without any of it, you realise then 4 days after you've bevied, you're still not great. You're still not back to full power.
Just
and then you
sleep and
start
all that,
thinking
isn't it?
all that, everything, it affects everything. So all of a sudden then, when it comes to do you want a bevy, it stops being you just change the neural pathways in your brain. You've stopped it being associated with a good thing. Do you know what I mean? And something else I started doing, which was interesting, me and my girlfriend both do this, is we'll go for a meal. And even if you think, I fancy a bevy, I'll order a mocktail. So you get all of the like, the feelings of getting a bevy, lovely crystal glass and all that.
Yeah.
And they bring it out and it tastes just the same. And once I've had that, I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't actually want any alcohol. It doesn't make a difference. There's no alcohol in it.
Fair
It's
play.
interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I'm saying that I might be on holiday pissed as people are listening to this. Because I'm not that strict about it. My big thing in life is I
If
don't
you
need
just
to
fancy
say I don't drink anymore. If I fancy a bevy, I'll have a bevy.
Yeah, fair.
But I'd recommend trying it. Like definitely, I reckon it helps.
I've done like a month, do you know what I mean, and things like that, and you know, done that here and there, but it's just so ingrained in everything we do, isn't it?
Honestly, mate,
that's the problem.
That is the biggest problem. It's like it's not giving up ale itself that's been the problem. I think I've done it in stages because people have had to get used to the fact that I don't bevy anymore. Because I was such a big drinker before, it was like a change of identity. Do you know what I mean? Like even just walking into a family party or seeing your mates and going, well, you'll have a bevy. And I'm like, no, I don't drink anymore. I found a good shift is like, do something where you can't drink. So like, I trained for a marathon. So I'd just walk into a party, whatever, or my family or my mates and just go, no, I'm not drinking for 3 months because I'm training for a marathon. And people would accept that.
Yeah.
Whereas if you haven't got that excuse, people will always do go on, have a bevy, go on.
Have one.
And then it just becomes a ball ache and you don't want to go anywhere.
Yeah,
and do you know what I mean? But anyway, as always, we haven't got time to do everything we want to do. I wanted to mention 3 quick things of Joe on the ideas that people come up with, because I was just going down this rabbit hole the other day. Three boss ones. Did you see these? Someone's created, Joe, like Wolverine claws out of what's that? X-Men. That's X-Men, isn't it? Yeah. So, for shredding your meat.
Fuck off.
That's fucking wild, isn't it? Imagine them in your house. I've got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old in our house. Imagine, so if the 3-year-old got hold of them, there'd be fucking dead cats and everything knocking around.
It's just unnecessary. We've got a knife and fork, and we all know how that works. Don't need claws.
I'm even just looking at the picture now. You hold them like fucking nunchucks, and the blades come through your fucking fingers.
Nah,
that's wild, that isn't it?
Have you seen some of the stuff on that Wish? That comes up. One of my mates sometimes puts them in our group. I think it's Wish anyway. And like there was one the other week, and it was like an acoustic guitar that you could put your leg through.
put your leg through.
So it had like this section where you could put your leg through, so you could play it like down there, basically. And it was like, but a normal acoustic's got a groove for like your leg anyway. If you want to sit and play it, why do you need your leg to fucking go through it?
That's fucking mad.
Imagine someone suddenly knocks at the door like, bing, bong, oh shit, I forgot it was my new guitar with the hole in for the leg. And it was like, yeah, that's it. Thigh way to hell.
You put your whole leg through it.
Yeah, you can put your whole leg through it, see?
What's the benefit of that though?
Don't know. So you can sit in that position and play it. And it's like...
That's mental.
It's absolutely mad, isn't it?
But I never told you about the fella we went to see the other week, did I?
Who?
Siobhan got us tickets, did I?
Where he was playing two guitars at once.
And at one point in the thing, he's fucking shot. I'm like, I don't even know how you fucking play two guitars at once. I'll have to send you videos. Fucking.
Have you seen the other fella? There's another fella that plays like the drums, sings, and plays the guitar. And he's boss. Like, it's like, you know, you could say, okay, that's like gimmicky, but genuinely good. Like big, massive, fat fella. And like banging out stuff like, and it sounds a bit like sort of like White Stripesy type stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in fairness, this fella I saw was boss. Like, he unbelievably talented. Do you know what I mean? But and you could see people who had organised it. You could tell they were like, it's the maddest thing I've ever been to. There was like 6 of us in a room watching him, and you're like, this is just a bit uncomfortable as well. But they couldn't. His biggest fans genuinely couldn't believe he wasn't like world famous. And I'm watching him thinking, I can know, because you're probably a better guitarist than Ed Sheeran, but the two guitars balanced on top of each other isn't what the mainstream want, really. Is. No. And at one point, he literally rolled. He went to do the song. He went, I shouldn't do this because I've just had a hip operation. He rolled up his trouser leg and licked like his hand and wet the inside of his calf. And when you're sitting there, and afterwards we were both like, what? When you're sitting thinking, what the fuck's he gonna do?
What's he doing?
And he played this entire song with 2 guitars, and then and you're sitting there the whole time thinking, why has he got his fucking calf out and he's wet it? And then right towards the end of the end of the song, he threw one of the guitars up in the air, spun it round his head and caught it like on his leg, like a cello.
Yeah.
And then started playing it like that, like a bass.
See,
and I'm watching it thinking,
it's
dead. But it's impressive. Do you know what I mean? If I see someone do that, I'm like, that's impressive.
But I think you'd just think, fuck off, you show off.
But that's not world famous stuff, is it? Do you know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
You're not going to become an international rock star doing that.
I think even like, you know, like I like Zeppelin and all that, but like, you know, when you see like concerts and he's you know, he's playing his guitar with a bow and all that, and you're just like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Just play normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, wouldn't be for me, that.
Yeah.
I just think, do you want your shit out?
Well, look, on do you want your shit out? There was on this, there's loads of different things, but
bacon
to get
strips,
them,
bandages, I like.
Bacon
like,
strip bandages, so they just look like bacon when you wrap them around you. An old classic I can't believe never took off, but is the umbrella hat, which I just love.
There's a picture of Klopp with one of them on, isn't there? When he's on holiday.
Yeah. I think they're sound though. But then
I
found
you need
one,
these, lads.
which is mad. Finger covers for cheesy food.
Yeah.
It's mad that you can buy them, isn't it?
So you could get them, and then you wouldn't be a finger-licking knick-knack nonce.
Exactly. It's the solution to being a finger-licking knick-knack nonce. Which is mad that they exist.
Yeah.
Isn't it? But I wonder if anyone actually... Imagine the fucking palaver. Why would you go so far as to buy them rather than just lick your fingers
Well,
after?
that's what I was going to say. There would be a solution to that. But equally, if someone pulled them out on the train, started putting little covers on the fingers, and then at a pack to watch it, you'd just be like, what are you doing?
Wouldn't you think they were more of a nonce?
Yeah. I'd be like, that's
just lick your fucking
weird.
fingers,
yeah.
mate.
So
yeah, and they're $18.
I'm out.
That's again. A lot, that, isn't
it?
Yeah. Just to skip through, just to... because there's loads. I want to talk. I want to do a bit of footy chat on this, and but we got an email from Graham Spencer, which we really liked, about email etiquette, and he said, "All right, lads. First off, just want to say that the podcast is boss, really funny and interesting. Thank you, mate. Loving it. In the one you released this week, which was a few weeks ago now, you talked about the fella from Southampton, Neil. It's not Neil Jones, is it? I saw someone online saying that Neil Jones is."
No, Neil Jones is the Liverpool reporter.
Is the Liverpool reporter from he was at goal now. What was his name?
Nathan. Yeah.
And the fella who always said, with the greatest respect, made me think about stuff people say that's polite on paper, but really they're fucking fuming or calling you a cunt. Like someone, email saying, as per my previous email.
Yeah.
I love that, by the way. As per my previous email, meaning read what I've already wrote you, balloon. Or I look forward to your reply, which means make sure you answer my fucking questions, you sausage. I like this bit. I'm very lucky as I've worked in the prison service for a long time, so it's generally acceptable to just call someone a cunt to their face. You should have got a job in the prison service.
I was just thinking that. I just read that and just thought, that maybe that's me calling.
Yeah.
That's where it should be.
Maybe that's the whole point.
I wouldn't want to be a screw though, would you?
Wouldn't you?
No.
Even if you could just call people a cunt to their face.
Yeah, but imagine you'd be called, you're like a blag busy though, aren't you, a little bit? Someone in my family was doing that once upon a time, and I always thought, wouldn't fancy that.
Yeah, well, I often think there's loads of things like that, aren't there, where like you're a bit of a blag busy, and it's about power. I mean, being a busy itself.
I hate them ones on the train. The ones on the train, like, are absolute mess, aren't they? Like, I remember I've had a few little run-ins with them. Probably comes as no surprise, but there was.
You should write a book called "I've had a few little run-ins with them."
Yeah. I just remember I was absolutely pegging it like for the last train, and I showed like the barriers were open, the big one was open at Central, and so show me ticket to women as I go through, leg it down, like proper like almost like limbo when I get through the doors and I'm on type of thing, and then the train doesn't go, and then all these blag busies get on with the the little uniforms and all the rest of it, and this fella stood so close to my face. I could smell his breath, like, do you know what I mean? And I was like, what are you doing? And he goes, what are you doing? And I said, well, you're in my personal space for a start. And I said, and I can smell your breath and it's not pleasant. And he was going, why have you just ran away there upstairs? And I went, to make this train. And he goes, oh, so you've got a ticket, have you, yeah? And I went, yeah. Got it out in my pocket and shown him. And then he just had to sort of like, like Homer, where he goes into the bushes.
Yeah, like retreat.
Just slowly retreat.
Did he? Didn't apologise?
No apology, because it was all like dead passive aggressive, or like, like standing up dead high, shoulders up and all that.
Don't they? Do you reckon they're trained to do that, or does that just come naturally to the people who apply for that job?
Seems to come naturally to a lot of people who choose to do that type of stuff, doesn't it?
I had. It's funny because I had a similar thing, but I didn't actually have the right ticket once. I was on a fast train from Liverpool to London, and I didn't have I had a discounted ticket or whatever, but didn't have the pass you need to to get it. I didn't have it with me, and I had this conversation. I think it's the old lawyer in me loves conversations like this with people, and because he was trying to make a cunt of me and talking dead loud so the whole carriage could hear. So I was just like, you've picked the wrong person to do this with me, because he was going to me like, well, you need this such a voucher, such a pass for this ticket to be valid. And I was like, well, I haven't got it. And he went, okay, well, you need to pay an extra 250 quid. And I went, well, I haven't got 250 quid. And he was like, well, you can pay by card. And I went, well, I haven't got a card. And he went, well, you'll have to get off the train then. And I went to him, well, that'll be hard, won't it? It doesn't stop until we get to Euston. And he went, as I said, I heard someone chuckle behind me, do you know what I mean? And he obviously, like, he's feeling like a tit then.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, you'll have to get off at Euston, won't you? And I was like, sound, that's where I'm going. Yeah. That's where I will literally want to go.
Yeah.
So that's fine with me. And it was that moment as well, Joe, where he stood a bit like yours, like he doesn't know where to go now.
Yeah.
So what are you going to fucking say next?
Yeah.
And I always think with knobheads like that, be careful what you're doing, because you're backing yourself into a corner. You're making a tit of yourself. There's
just no need, is there? And it's like I say, it seems so many people. I get that they must have to deal with bellends. You've got to take that into consideration. And so like that will generate maybe a certain mindset. Like someone I know who does a certain job, because I'm making sure I'm not throwing him under the bus here. But he's told me that, like, after dealing with certain people all day, said I'm like Travis Bickle by the end of the day. And he's like, just, I need something to like calm that. And I sort of get that. But like, I don't know, it's just like a tone from a lot of them. Like I remember just like, being on a train and going to my nan's once, and there was like a fella who got on at Ed Gill, and they had a problem at Ed Gill with like the actual computer, to sort the tickets out. So he got on, but before the fella was even able to speak, there was almost like this glee from like the inspector fella that he didn't have a ticket. And he's like, well, I'm going to ring them now and all this. I'm going to check this story. And it was like cocky how he was saying it.
Yeah.
And like, I was watching it all unfold. And like, he did ring through and all that. And the fella's story was proven right. And I was dying. I had to proper hold it all in not to go, because he just had to sort of like, waddle off into the distance because he was proved wrong. And I just thought, I'm made up. That was like that you had off there. Because I don't know, what is it about, like, because you got that little bit of authority, you decide to be a blade with it.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, well, fucking hell.
Gets up my nose.
That's a whole psychology show, isn't it? About why people like that are attracted to things like that.
I've got an email one as well, reattached in case you missed it the first time. Like when they've sent you an attachment that they want you to be. Because I used to I've worked for a few like corporate organisations where it was all this bollocks, like warm regards, kind regards and all that.
See, you don't like, I used to use kind regards when I was a lawyer because I was like, someone said, it was because I know exactly why it happened. Someone read out an email to me once, and the way they read the word regard, the end stuck in my head. He went like this. As he said, it was an arse email, and he said, and I signed off by going, regards, James. So every time I read regards just by itself, I read it aggressively.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Which I always say to people,
weird.
it's the problem
It's
the problem with putting things in writing though, isn't it? I've said this to people for ages now.
No nuance.
But you don't decide the tone in which the other person reads your messages. It's why text messages and WhatsApp messages. I've said this for ages. Like, Twitter is the worst platform on the planet because it's basically an international text messaging platform. So no one knows what tone anybody else is sending anything in, and you just read whatever mood you're in. Or whatever you think they said.
Emojis are meant to be for, isn't it? That's where that come from. But then you can use them passive aggressively as well, can't you?
Absolutely. And different people. Did you know this? Different people interpret different things in different ways. Like, I knew someone once who always put a winky face at the end of stuff, and I'd go to them. You can't just put a wink at the end. Like, if you put a serious message and then you'll send that serious message to me, and then put a wink at the end, and then I'm like,
"Are you
taking the piss?"
Yeah.
I was like, you wouldn't have fucking Nelson Mandela doing a big fucking, thoughtful speech, and at the end just winking at the crowd. Don't do it. So even that causes trouble.
Yeah. Another one as well on emails is best. You read that?
Just best by itself.
Best, like best, and then the name.
You know what I've taken to? Just not saying anything. Not ending with anything. What would you use now? How would you end an email now?
I think I just put like cheers. Or
cheers.
Like that.
See, I used cheers for a while and then stopped that.
Yeah.
So then I sometimes just put thanks.
Yeah, thanks. I've used that. Yeah, I don't like kind regards, warm regards.
I don't use any of them anymore. No,
they're all terrible.
That's what I have from Robbo is nice one, Robbo.
There you go.
Yeah, nice one.
Nice one.
Yeah, but you can't put nice one at the end of it, like a business email, can you?
No, not really.
Dear sir, and then signed off, nice one.
But like, I find like those big corporate organisations where you got to deal with a lot of people over email, like it gets very passive aggressive, doesn't it? And it gets very like, well, I said this on such a date and you didn't respond to this, and I sent you that. I mean, this big thing of like proving who was at fault about everything all the time, and it's just like, that's just taking up more time than having a conversation here. Do you know what I mean?
100%. It's a fucking nightmare. We've only got 7 minutes left.
Anyway.
So I want to talk about Footie, but genuinely I thought this was going to take up most of the show.
You've done loads of prep on this, haven't you?
Yeah, so maybe we'll end up doing a full show on this or something. But it was picking up on something I mentioned a couple of weeks ago about we were talking about the challenge Klopp faces, and I said there is actually a thing here because we were talking about Didi Hamann, and I said, but there is a thing here about
building two great sides,
and I like, I was going to say stupidly, but just showing my naivety, went through a list of great managers who've never done it, and a couple of people quite rightly corrected me. Andrew Grice and James Kelly both said, because I put Shankly in that list, and they were like, that's bullshit. He did build a great second side, so I'm more than happy to admit when I'm talking bullshit. But it made me go in deeper into it and look more into it, to look at the most successful managers in English football history, and especially those who managed over a longer period of time, and see who actually did build more than one side, and did they win at the start and the end. And then also there's a few facts in here as well, which we might not have time for, but I want to get into them. Like, I'll throw a couple of them in just to see what you think instinctively. On the criticism of Klopp that he should have won more titles, like, he's been here since 2015, hasn't he? But took over an average side at best. And it's something that annoys me, because I think there's this thing now that, like, if you achieve greatness in something or something special, people think you should just be able to replicate it time and time again. And I was looking into it. So since the first, tell me what you think of this. And for the listener, viewer, as you listening to this, think for yourself, what do you think the answer to this question is? Since the first league in 1888, which is 134 years ago, how many managers do you reckon have won more than one league title? 134 years.
I reckon it's only going to be like about, say, just off the top, I'm just guessing.
Yeah, go on.
Like 11.
Oh, see, you've gone lower than I thought. The answer's 24.
Oh, it's higher than I thought. Yeah, obviously.
But
'cause I was just thinking,
about,
like, there's only so many clubs that you could win it with.
Yeah.
Then also, you've got the thing of, when something goes slightly wrong, football fans tend to want you out. So, what clubs have like believed in longevity?
who've actually been able to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm surprised it's that many.
you're surprised it's that high, but even that. Think about that then.
That's
so,
not that high when you think about how long we've been having footy. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
And this is the thing about like people just going. No one ever. So few people think about this stuff, like how hard this is in the context of history. Like it's just like we should just be able to do it. And you're like, but like sometimes it's no one's ever done it, or only 3 people have ever done it in the history of football. Do you know what I mean? And so that, like, I looked at Shankly then. Shankly was manager for 15 years, and he only won the great Bill Shankly. And I know for Liverpool fans out there, I'll be saying things you obviously already probably know, but Shankly only won 3 league titles, and he did build 2 different teams. He built one in the 60s and one in the 70s. And he won, in fairness, the FA Cup was bigger then, wasn't it? And he won 2 FA Cups. One
Got
with
us out
each
the
side.
second division.
Got us out the second division. But there's all kinds in this, and we haven't got time to go into it now. But there's stuff in that as well. Like I found as I was researching, it's interesting again about balance and nuance and all that. I found an article in the Manchester Evening News talking about it because it was defending them and our criticism of them now being a super money club and all that. And it went, but think about the way Liverpool fans talk about that. We're talking about like we're just this organically grown, like beautiful local club and all that. They feel like it's bullshit. When Shankly took over, when we were in the second division, in fairness to the article, it does say this itself. Like using this as a comparison is difficult because it's comparing percentage. When you buy someone, what was the percentage of the highest transfer fee at the time, and then you can equate it to modern football. So it said we were a second division club, but started spending money like a first division giant. We spent 37.5 grand on Ian St. John from Motherwell and quickly followed that up with £30,000 on Ron Yates from Dundee. But bearing in mind, the record fee paid by a British club at that time was £50,000, ironically spent by City on Dennis Law, who Shankly wanted and didn't get. That was a phenomenal amount of money for a second division club. So if you do it with like, compared to the record transfer fee now as like a percentage, and it says, working football inflation is a hazardous business. But to pay fees which amounted to 75% and 60% of the highest fees ever paid by a British club was remarkable for a team that had just finished 3rd in the second division. Translated into modern terms, and I mean, this was written last year, it was like the current Huddersfield Town spending £75 million on a striker and 60 million on a centre-back.
See, that's funny because I was at Prescott Cables at the weekend and was with my mate's dad, and like he can remember when Liverpool were in the second division, and funny enough, we're talking about it, like, and he was saying when they weren't getting out of there, if you like, when they were down there, he said there was a perception that they weren't spending enough money, and also that the ground was all dilapidated and stuff like that. You remember Shankly talking about that, about like that, didn't have running water in the bogs or something like that. I think it was one of the stories, wasn't it? So yeah, that wasn't how we saw it at the time.
But it was interesting because that story ties into the Boot Room documentary that came out a few months ago, and it's saying there was a shift, there had been a change. Like it was to do with John Moore's like letting go of the purse strings at Liverpool to go to Everton, and Eric Sawyer taking over. And at that point, he did start spending more money.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just the genius of Shankly in the same way. It's not just the genius of Pep Guardiola now or the genius of Klopp.
We were talking about, like imagine Everton did go down and there's this thing, kicking around now, isn't it, about they could end up with a points deduction at some point because of, financial irregularities or whatever and all that kind of stuff. And we were asking my mate's dad, what was it like when Liverpool were in the second division and Everton were in the top league? They're like, were they just permanently taking the piss? Like, he was like, yeah. And he said, but also there was like a huge thing about that Liverpool had never won the FA Cup. because the FA Cup was huge. Like, I mean, you had Roger Hunt. Roger Hunt said it to me, in fact. I was lucky enough to interview him once, and he said it was like comparable to winning the World Cup as far as he was concerned. It was that big a deal, do you know what I mean? And so Everton used to give us stick for never winning the FA Cup. Yeah. And if you look at the pictures from 65 when they win it, like, it's unbelievable the amount of people on it's like when Liverpool won the European Cup, you know what I mean? In terms of people on the streets, like parties, flag, everyone's like absolutely like they've won the FA Cup.
That's mad, that, isn't it? When you think back.
Yeah.
But
how big it was.
You've just heard the people we've got. Honestly, there's so much I want to get into on that, which we might have to do another show just to talk about that. And you found a letter from Shankly, didn't you, to a fan where he was basically addressing, looks like, the same thing back then, like being criticised and saying it's going to take time to rebuild a side, and he literally refers to it being a transition period. Yeah. And like, what do you expect us to do? Which is, I mean, even that, there's so much to talk about, because he's writing to a fan who's obviously complaining. But anyway, we haven't got time. We need to finish with the crisps, the crunching challenge, before we go. Do you want me to just show you mine quickly?
Go on.
I've gone. I'm doing the first to repeat a brand, but with a different flavour.
Oh.
I think I'm doing a different flavour. Anyway, I should have double checked this, shouldn't I? I didn't. You did roast beef pickled onion, didn't you? Sorry, you did. I'm talking shite. Monster Munch pickled onion.
Yeah.
So I'm going Monster Munch roast beef.
See, I'll be fuming if they win, because I did roast beef Space Raiders and everyone absolutely was like, no, crap.
Well, I do know I've already got one high profile person on my side. I'm going to tag him into our tweets.
Oh,
it's Richard Osman on the telly.
Oh, yeah.
He literally tweeted about them the other week.
I'm going these.
Go on, what are they?
I was just saying, we could identify from the crisp. Roysters, T-bone steak, bubble chips.
Bubble chips.
I was told, I seen someone else talking about these in the shrinkflation terms, but that's a hefty bag.
Yeah, these are interesting. These 125 bags, aren't they? They're big boys.
It feels like they're making them little ones really little and putting about 6 crisps in them to like drive up the price of these ones. 125, well, it's nearly £1, isn't it? You won't mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, Roysters T-bone steak is my choice this week.
And as we said, we actually didn't say this. We don't know what the results of last week's vote is yet. So we're doing this either all square at 4-4 or me 5-3 down. So this could be for me to go ahead. And I think it would be quite sweet that I do it with a flavour of a crisp you picked and didn't take.
Well, what's interesting about this as well is, by the way, I've just noticed, bearing in mind what happened recently in the Crunching Challenge. So Roysters Bubble Chips T-bone steak flavour, distributed by Tato Snacks, County Meath. So they're the southern ones. So all those Irish lads who were listening, who wouldn't vote for me because I picked Northern Ireland Tato.
It's too late now.
This is where you can show me a bit of love.
Don't be going back to him now after him abandoning Southern Ireland in favour of the Northern Ireland Tato. I'm confident I might be coming back with a 10 and 5-4 up here, But we'll see. We'll see. Right, that's it. That's all we've got time for. I hope you've enjoyed that. As we say, we'll always make sure there's a show for you. If you like what we're doing, please continue to support us. Go over and subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, click subscribe straight away. Click the like button. Share this with anybody you know who would like it. Just two lads talking absolute shite every week. And as we say, we'll always make sure you've got an episode to watch, even when we're not here and we're sunning ourselves by a pool. That's it. See you next week.